If the foundations of social media are business, meaning made for profit, then that changes everything and how you look at everything. The motivation behind the algorithms have to be discussed. Is it for humanity, or is it simply for profit? I know what we wish, but I also think I know what the answer is. So if everything is driven for profit, or to be famous, or to be rich, I have a certain fear about these algorithms. Social media clearly has had positive impact in terms of being able to disseminate information quickly, to democratize information and so forth. So we all can look to that as the positive, and that's always been the dream of the democratization of the world and so forth. But we only have to look at mental health with young people around the world. We have to look at just how society is fractured today, the divisions of the haves and the have-nots and so forth. That's all related, not just simply to social media, but to the technology that is changing society so quickly. So we as creatives have to have a say in this. We are the leaders, we are the parents of the science. At least for a while, we'll still be human beings who will be prompting and deciding what algorithms need to be written. As someone has said, this is an Oppenheimer moment in our life right now. So it is a much bigger question than simply are creative people going to lose their jobs. We just have to be better at our game. My goal is to somehow inject whatever my knowledge is about creativity and to help preserve or to enhance or to promote humanity within the science. The speed of the technology, again, is changing business. So suddenly now, through the media changes, we have comments such as, we don't need beautiful long format films anymore. It's not necessary. Kids don't like it. It's like saying kids don't read, which isn't true, by the way. So suddenly you have marketing directors who are judging your work simply on, is it an effective piece of creative that generates business within 3 seconds? So perhaps we need to have some way of judging creativity. Is it possible to have a high-level piece of creativity for 3 seconds? Maybe, but I don't think we're there yet to understand exactly what that means, other than it created more clicks, other than it created some profit. So what exactly is the definition of quality in creativity? I mean, I think that is the issue that we're facing right now. And if you're driven by money, the chances are it's going to be less quality, quite frankly. Many creative people will be losing jobs, but the jobs that will be lost are the ones that tend to be more repetitive. And hopefully, the hope is that technology will help to lift up the quality of jobs, that the jobs that people will have will be of value creation, that the jobs will be more valuable to society, that there'll be jobs that are more fulfilling to people because they enable you to create value for society. That's the hope. I think that's the goal, for example. But many people will lose their jobs, not just creative people. Many countries will be losing entire industries because of this. Now, if you look at history, jobs were lost in the industrial age, from the agrarian age to the industrial age. A lot of people who lived on farms and worked in the rural area lost their jobs, but the world adjusted. But the world was adjusting at a slower pace. Right now, the science, the changes are happening so quickly, so dramatically, because there is a strong chance very soon that we may not be in control anymore as human beings. That's the issue. We've already crossed the line where the AI may not need human beings to prompt it and to write it. Now, we've been saying that the opportunity for all of us to grow as creative human beings is that we will still be in charge, that we still need to prompt, we still need to create the purpose of why an algorithm is needed. If that's taken away, we're in danger, of course. But I have great faith in the human spirit and the creativity of human beings. And I think that we will prevail, but not if we let our guard down, not if we don't sharpen our skills, not if we don't become better at the craft. So I think it just raises the game for all creative people to get better at what they do. There are other indications of trouble. Current surveys right now are showing young people losing a sense of empathy. That is clearly being watched right now by researchers. Compassion for young people is dropping. What's the cause of that? One of the great scientists of this area is Mo Gaudet. He has many predictions, but he said the saving grace is that generative AI does not have a sense of ethics, and we are the parents of the science. And as good parents, we need to teach ethics. That includes empathy, compassion, fairness. That we need to teach. However, in our schools today, we don't teach ethics. We don't teach art. So two major parts of what makes up a human being is already being lost. So I think that maybe this is an opportunity to raise the game and to bring that back. You know, if research is showing that young people are losing their sense of compassion, something has to be done. And maybe creativity is one way to help bring that back. Education right now, people don't really know what kind of education we need in 20 years. That's how fast things are changing. We have no idea what to teach to be prepared for a career in 20 years because all the jobs are going to be changing. That may be true in terms of should I teach a science or some certain, but I go back to the human spirit. What we can't stop teaching is empathy, fairness, generosity, just the art of being a good person. That sounds a bit naive, but where are those lessons today? So I use the term good people. That can be a controversial question in itself. Many people think of themselves as good people. But I have to just go back to basics about ethics, fairness, open mind to other people's cultures, other people's religions, and just treat people with respect. They don't have to be you. They don't have to be the same as you, but you do need to respect them. And if there is this giant divide economically, socially, that is happening already, that's dividing the world, a little respect would help both sides. It's not so black and white. So that's where empathy comes in. That's where ethics may come in. So being a good person may be a difficult question to answer, but it's worth asking. And I don't think we're asking that question enough. And we're clearly not asking young people to think deeper about it. The answer cannot be off of your screen. The answer has to be through your relationship with another person. Having a dialogue physically, in person, is very important. Not that I don't do my fair share of video screen meetings and so forth. That is very convenient at times, especially when I work globally. However, I like to be able to read the temperature in the room. And when someone is presenting an idea to me, I need to see the body language. I need to see all the other information that's in the room that's being given, not just the presentation itself. And I hope someone will read that about me when I make a presentation. The idea of gathering a group of people to debate an idea, to challenge each other, is something that is worth its weight in gold. And even if you have a connection with 20 people on the screen from around the world, it's not the same. It's not the same. So I very much, people ask me, John, what's your greatest accomplishment creatively or professionally? And I said, the thing I'm most proud of are the offices that I've built around the world, the organizations that I've built, the kinds of people I recruited that came from nowhere and put together an amazing organization of people who really fought for great work and high ideals. Because those entities, even though I'm not there anymore, most of them are continuing and thriving. And I've opened offices in almost every region in the world. So being able to put an organization together of diverse human beings who think differently to do great work is proof for me that working together in person is still the most valuable thing that we can do. I think the human experience continue to be important. Working with people face to face, speaking, concepting, creating as a team will still be, and maybe even more, important. Physical spaces will become more important as the human touch, the ability to see things on your own and with friends. The idea of seeing a wonderful feature movie on your iPad by yourself or even with a friend is different than sitting in the cinema with 200 people. It's a different experience, and it helps the creator to tell the story in a more powerful way. I think that humanity, the human sense, the touch, the feel, the emotion will still be a driving force. It's very important that we keep that sense of humanity and the human touch. And I mean the touch, physical touch, but I mean the touch of the heart as well. The creativity by humans, I hope, will still be the higher value. But we don't know that for right now. Who's valuing it? So I think creativity by human beings is combined with hope and goals for your fellow people. The creativity has a certain goal in mind that perhaps you're trying to raise questions that the world has never thought about. It's like the purpose of art. The purpose of art is to help you see things that you never thought about before, to help you see the world in a different way. So if creativity is not simply for profit, but creativity is to help make society a better place, I think that kind of creativity, I'm not saying it's only the subject of human creativity, but clearly I would think because of the emotional skills that humans have, the ability to connect to other people on a personal level, I hope that human creativity will still be the leader. We have the ability to create surprise. We have the ability to think of something differently from what has been done in the past. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know enough to really speak to this, but algorithms are based on information of the past, what has ever happened. So we feed it information based on past information and past experience and so forth. Hopefully human beings can still dream ahead of that with an idea of where they want to go. So I just think, for me, I see the science as a tool to help me become better at my creative skills, to think faster, to think better, to think deeper with my creative skills, because I know what I want to do. I have my ambitions, I have my hopes, I have what I want to achieve by giving back to society. So I'm hoping all of this science, all of this AI will be the best tool that we've ever had in our lifetime. It will be. We know that already. The idea of coexistence of AI and human beings is kind of a moot point because we have no choice but to coexist with it. We don't have a choice but to use it. And perhaps it'd be arrogant for human beings to think that it can always control it. Human beings are arrogant in a way, but thinking that they, above all, are the most intelligent being in the universe. We thought so. I don't know if we really know. And even the question of intelligence, what is it, is under investigation today. This is what the power of technology and AI has created for us. It's questioning, it's forcing us to question many, many things. What we can't question is whether or not we want to be good people or not. Some will say yes, and some will say no. I think we need to side on the part of society that says yes. What technology has done is created the divide between the haves and the have-nots to be even broader, wider, and we see that problem all over the world. I worry that the technology will only increase that divide. So who can solve that? I think creative people, because creative people have ideas that lead to innovation, that have a heart that helps to solve human problems and society's problems. The process of creativity, the joy of learning, gaining information, aggregating your experiences, putting divergent things together to make new innovation and new ideas, to make radical ideas through your experiences, through your DNA. It's what's powerful about what we do. So I have to put my faith in human creativity. I think that the coexistence of artificial intelligence and human intelligence has to be our priority. We have to make it important. We have to stay on top of it. So I think being human is still very powerful. It's the greatest hope that we have right now. So how do we embrace the technology that we as humans are creating? That's the test of time for us right now. In terms of what we call content, which is a word I hate, to be reducing all of our work into that word content, and to reduce great films into content or great albums of music as to be described as content. But in terms of making stories, it will still be very important. Stories need character development. Stories need surprise. Stories need a plot that takes you to an unknown place. I hope that skill of human creators will still remain. I'm not saying another intelligence can't make stories, but our stories hopefully have a purpose, have an unknown purpose, and maybe have a goal, someone that we're trying to affect. Or I think this threat that we are facing in terms of creativity, we need to turn it around and see it as the greatest opportunity that we've ever had, that we are facing the most powerful tool to make us more intelligent, more connected, and more creative than ever before. And if that tool is that, then it's up to us humans to decide what we want to do with that tool. The reason why I bristle at the word content, because I feel that everything that we do is being contained in that word. Content for what? For influencers? Yeah, okay, maybe. Of course it's content, but I guess I'm trying to make a separation between stuff that I see on social media versus something that has a deeper meaning and a deeper purpose and higher skill and masterful in its execution, in its craftsmanship. Maybe I'm being unfair to the word content in that I'm reducing it down to those little bites that you see on your phone, the stuff that's driving us all crazy and making us less literate, less intelligent, and less human in many ways. I was the first person to make, I believe, a piece of content for Nike. The documentary series that we did for the Wow Wow Network in Japan on the 3-on-3 basketball tournament. I was, I believe, the first entertainment piece that was aired that was not advertising. I guess we used the word content back then too. So finding other ways to tell stories, finding other ways to engage with people has always been something that I almost built offices around. The way Wieden & Kennedy Tokyo started as a traditional agency and the way it ended by the time I left was that we were supreme makers of information, entertainment, engagement. We did many things that were live. We held many events based on certain ideas, the events that we would create for the streets. So maybe I'm being unfair with the word content, but expanding the definition at that time, I kept saying, my wish is to completely expand the definition of what is advertising, because we were being held hostage by traditional people who thought advertising was a certain thing, a print ad or television commercial. We did much more than that. Nothing is more boring to be in an ad agency with people who only think about ads. That's a recipe for disaster. I go back to Dan Wieden's challenge to me, or wish for me, as I left to move to Japan. He said, John, I want you to take this opportunity in Tokyo when you open that office and make it the hothouse of this agency, to do work that not any of our other offices can create. I hope I lived up to his wishes. I hope I was able to achieve that. I think if you look at the legacy of my work, I've always been able to bring culture into play, bringing culture into the workplace, making our work broader than the industry's own definition was made by the introduction of cultural understanding and appreciation. Culture is important because it speaks to mankind, how people live, see the world, how people have created for themselves. We have a lot to learn from their culture. That's where empathy comes from, is to have a better understanding of how they dealt with their problems, how they created before us. So I think culture is everything about art and music and everything that mankind has created. What's happening in music right now? What's happening in art right now? What's happening on the streets? What's happening in fashion? You need to have a deep understanding and appreciation of what's happening. And I don't mean Pinterest. I don't mean Googling that idea and having a superficial understanding of what hip hop is or superficial understanding of what pop culture is. You have to dive in and pick part of it and live it. And live it. I do watch carefully in how an organization is put together, the kind of people that we recruit, the kind of goals and the ideals that you place from the very beginning. I asked, why do we exist? I asked that question in the document when I wrote the mission for the opening of our Shanghai office. And I probably didn't do it so clearly in the opening of the Japan office, but it clearly was in my head. I wrote a lot of those principles down in the beginning. in part to make sure that I was challenging myself not to simply follow the status quo, not to follow the rules and the patterns of the status quo. So how do I build the culture? Well, what is that culture that I want? I want a culture where everyone is respected, where the best ideas can be put on the table and can be executed, where we support each other in a way that is bigger than simply the industry. I want people who are genuinely interested in art, in music, in culture, perhaps, not simply in advertising, marketing, design for the marketplace. I want the context of the work to be appreciated and understood. I want the creatives, I want the teams to understand and appreciate the context of everything that they're making. The context is always related to culture at large. Our office in Tokyo lived in culture, produced music within the culture, not from a distance watching and looking at trend reports. We lived it. We brought in people who lived it. People who were multitasking. One might be an executive assistant and a DJ on the evenings. That's a perfect example of how I would recruit for the office. People who bring a wide range of interests and passion to the place and use it in the work that we're trying to create together. And as long as they're diverse, so they bring that passion, bring that experience from other places, other cultures, other languages, other religions, other races, that makes the culture of the office rich and respectful. And I'm still doing it. In New York, I'm still doing it. So the judgment of creative talent is so personal. It's not a list of awards. It's not even a list of what agencies or what blue chip companies you worked at. It's one-on-one when you have that conversation. Do you think this person has potential? Why? What is it that makes you feel that? That's the art of building a team. That intuition. We'll see whether AI will be able to generate the same kind of human intuition. Someone who looks all wrong on the surface, all wrong on a piece of paper, but when you meet, you go, perfect. Perfect. Well, to inspire the people on the team is not simply my job. It's the job of everyone, and I make that clear, and I make it an open invitation for people to bring in things of interest, to share what's interesting to you. Is it a website? Is it a podcast? Is it someone? And often what I do is make sure we bring people to the office. People to the office. Constant bringing people to the office so that they can have a dialogue and see them and so forth. So the office is a center of contact. The office has to be seen not just as an office, but a place where other interesting people want to come. Not just clients, but other interesting people. Make it a point to come to this place because they heard it's valuable in terms of its contacts, in terms of its insight, in terms of its people, in terms of its own inspiration. Communications with staff members, well, again, this sounds obvious, but it has to start with respect. Number one, everything. The foundation is to start with respect. But the respect isn't just given to you, you have to earn it. So you have to earn that respect by doing right by them, doing good things for everyone. So you have to earn that respect. It's not just given to you because you're the creative director or the president or whatever. You can have the title, but that has nothing to do with respect. You have to earn that respect. That's a trait of a leader, to have that ability to earn that respect in order for the team to really work together. So how do you speak to the people? It has to be through respectfulness. You have to speak to people in a respectful way. And that doesn't mean you don't challenge them. Sometimes challenging them is the most respect that you can show them to help lift their game. And the most important thing maybe is just listen. Listen. We're not very good listeners these days. It seems easy, but it's not always that easy. So the question is, are you helping your people get better? The creative director or the leader, whomever, has the prerogative to say, no, it's not good enough. Start over. Come back in the morning. Show me other ideas. That's not good enough. How help this person? How might he or she improve the work? What direction would you offer them? How would you nurture their ideas to help them improve? Your job is to help them improve, not just to say, no, it's not good enough. That will be the test of the creator. Do you know how to help them improve? How good are you? Branding and marketing is still a part of the world that we live in, and it's part of our existence, of course. The difference is that the branding is now in the controls of the people, the consumer, so often, You see iconic publications like Sports Illustrated closing because the branding, or not the branding, but the stories of athletes are now in control by the athletes themselves. So the personal stories being controlled by the people is a major change. And I think that's a bit painful because I do think that there is a great need, wonderful journalism, for great writing, for great photojournalism and so forth. But the marketplace has kind of driven that out of favor. One of the things I do is I always encourage my office in New York to subscribe to the New York Times on Sunday and do not look at it on your phone. Because when you open and you see that story on a double-page spread or on a cover, the context of that story, how it is surrounded by news, the layout, the artistry of the art direction of the picture and the typographic solution of the type together is beautiful. And it is not experienced in the digital form in the same way. And why isn't it? Because it isn't efficient. So we go back to this issue of efficiency. I go back to the fear that I have that the optimization of the world for efficiency is lowering the standards of creativity and lowering the standards of quality. If you grew up on fast food only, that's your standard of good food. You don't know what home cooking is, right? You don't know what a hot meal by your mother sitting on the dining table is like if you've only had fast food. My concern is that we're raising a generation only on fast food. They don't know the difference. Our job is to protect that difference. Our job is to create that difference, or to continue to create that difference. Branding is an interesting word because there are certain societies and cultures that see it differently. The idea of branding in Japan is very different, oftentimes from the West. Real branding is about trust. It's about that you build that trust through respect. It is not simply about sales. Branding and promotional marketing are not exactly the same. So I think it's, in some sense, I'm a little tired of branding in some sense, because everyone is a brand today. Everyone is branding. I don't know what to do about that, but maybe that's okay. The question to a company or brand is, why do you exist? Why do you exist? And if you do exist for a reason, and you share that with me, I have to ask the question then, why should I care? No one wakes up in the morning and says, wow, I wish there was another apparel brand. People don't really care. So why do you exist? That's the major question for all of us as a company, as a brand. You have to be able to express in an authentic way why the world should care about you. Why should they respect you? Why should they desire you? Because you're cheaper or faster? It's all valuable, but doesn't seem to be a deep enough why. That question of why do we exist remains at the core of that concept of branding. However, it's challenging sometimes within companies to find people, management, who can answer the question honestly. The issue is honestly. So I think that question should never go away. It puts you on the hot seat as a leader, as the custodian of the brand. Well, the question of why do we exist is not just a corporate question, it's a question for us. And in this moment where we are trying to find our place within a scientific technology revolution, it's the question for all of us. I personally have learned and changed a lot in the past year. I've changed and I've gotten more philosophical because I lost my son last year. Now you ask questions. What's important to you in life? Now you ask the hard questions. Why do I exist? He built communities to help young artists, to nurture young artists, and to bring new experiences so that they could grow as artists. Suddenly, the continuation of that legacy and why I'm so involved in contemporary art today and with young people helps to begin to answer at my late stage that question of why do I exist? I think I have deeper questions, and it all comes through creativity. The greatest gift that's ever been given to me was my DNA, of course, and the experience growing up as the son of immigrant parents from China. The greatest gift was to be with nothing, almost nothing, other than pride and self-respect and so forth. So, this is an old cliche story perhaps of those who know me, but I grew up not speaking English, ironically learning English by watching television commercials, car commercials. That's how I learned branding without knowing the word branding. And living in a Chinese laundry, I never lived in a house until I was 14. My dream back then, watching television, was for my family to have a sofa. So when you come from very little, your ambition is stoked. Your sense of pride is, I want to do well for my parents, for myself, for those around me. So my journey was, I start from an incredibly modest place. Very modest place. That's the gift. That's what makes me fearless. That's what makes me ambitious. And the thirst to learn is insatiable in me because of that. So I've been so fortunate to work with CEOs and founders of companies that believed in creativity in the biggest way, who created situations, organizations, companies that were the best of their era, the best of class, and so forth. So I'm very lucky to have hitched my stars to people like that who brought me along. So whatever success I have today, it's because I was carried on the shoulders of greatness, people who were incredibly skilled and great at their craft. I'm carried by all of those people, and not just the famous people, but I'm carried by the people that I work with on the staff that made the ideas possible together. So I always say, if you are a manager or a director, or your first job is to inspire. Your job is not about you. The first thing about being a creative director, it's no longer about you. It's about inspiring all those around you. All those around you. Make everyone better. So collectively, we're better. I've had the good fortune of working for people who did that for me. I have had the opportunity to travel and work all over the world because of those people. So, from a kid who once found 2 tickets to Paris on campus when I was in university, it was on the ground, opened it up, 2 TWA tickets to Paris. No, I wasn't brave enough to take the trip and use the tickets. I wasn't that brave. I took those tickets and I literally held them against my chest, thinking one day I'll be able to fly to a foreign country like this and see something really wonderful. Now I live in Tokyo, New York, and Portland, so I'm blessed by the shoulders that I've stood on and the people who carried me here. But that sense of, I hope, appreciation from where I came through the hard work of my parents and the sacrifices they've made. And I won't even go into the sacrifices of the generations before because it's a deeper story. But that's what makes me go forward. That's what makes me fearless. So, Bruce, I'm trying to think, what's the purpose of this film? We've known each other a long time. We worked together for a long time. Why are we doing this together? Why did I say yes to doing this when I say no to so many? What's the difference in when we filmed 2 years ago versus today? I think my view of the world has changed a lot. I'm very lucky to work at a job, at a place where the founder and the company has this foundation, and I'll say it here, Shinzen-bi. Truth, values, and beauty. Think about that. A company built on truth, values, and beauty. Now, do I have my differences every day? Do I have my corporate differences? Do I have my fights? Of course I do. But when I know that is, at the end of the day, when you get down to brass tacks, that is the foundation, it gives me hope for the future of business, for the future of humanity, for the future of maybe even capitalism. So, whatever legacy I will have in the world, I realize I'm still learning, I'm still adjusting, I'm still changing, I'm still trying to improve my game every day. Every day. I'm still trying to get better as a professional, as a creative, but as a human being as well. And when work can somehow help you become a better human being, that's the ideal. That's the ideal. In the past, it was very much like, well, when you can, and this is the joke I used to talk about, when you can blend vocation and vacation together, when you can't separate them, when you're having so much fun that work is not work anymore, that's wonderful. I totally believe in that. But when work can actually help you be a better person, which is I'm sensing it could, I'm not there yet, but it could, because I don't work for an NGO, I work in a commercial business. Right? But if I can learn, if I can contribute back through my work, and art has a lot to do with it. I am very lucky to work with so many artists in my job and in my personal life. So working with the great institutions of art and working with the individuals, the emerging artists, somehow that has become a part of my learning experience, my growth. Learned so much from artists, so much. Especially the ones who are fearless, not the ones that are in it for the market, but the ones who are truly fearless. So I know I've changed a lot in the last year or two, especially last year. And somehow what I talk about on this film is a lot less than I did this, I did that, in my career and so forth. I mean, I'm proud of that stuff. I'm proud of all that work. The realization is that, wow, I am just beginning. At this stage of my life and career, the door is just beginning to open for me to see what's possible. Now, to go back to the original questions, can generative AI, can greater knowledge faster help you? I'm trying to find out. So what's surprising is, one of the things I always say, when there's a big problem, you have a bunch of specialists in the room. For example, the business has a big logistics problem or an HR problem. Well, my naive answer is put some creatives in the room, because the temperature of the room, the questions change. Automatically, the questions are going to come from different places. The real challenge is not what's the answer. What's valuable is what's the question. So in the case of AI, it's usually a room full of scientists and engineers. Is it possible that someone like me, that doesn't come from science and technology, could be of value in that room and having a seat at the table? This is something I've been questioning for a while, for a couple years, actually. And I'm getting close. So I am involved with R&D labs of AI myself. I am meeting with some of the smartest young scientists in AI right now. And what I've been able to do was to somehow meet these scientists, these technologists, who also have another side of their life, who are interested in creativity, interested in art, interested in fashion. I didn't know they existed, but somehow we found each other. So now I'm in discussions with a academic institution who is building innovative AI laboratories. And I'm hoping to be involved. That's the discussion. That's why I say the door is just opening. Me, as an art director, as a graphic designer, to be at that table with the smartest people on the planet, thinking about intelligence That's why I need to put myself in a position to enhance or to protect. I shouldn't be so cocky and think I could protect any of it. The human experience, human creativity versus machine creativity. I don't know enough to ask the right questions quite yet, but I know I'm being invited into the room. So that's maybe the next film we'll do one day.